Good evening, everyone. Yesterday, we discussed what is the backup and few backup types. Those are like full backup and differential backup. And we discussed today about other things like Azure storage and how to take the backup to Azure and transaction log file architecture and bulk log recovery model, a difference between full and bulk log recovery model. But today our main agenda is to complete the other types of backups, and we'll go for some practical comments. Then we'll go for a backup retention period, and we can go for our RPO and RTO values. Uh, then later we can see we'll go for some restore and some other automation called like a jobs functionalities. So today we will try to complete these things. Transaction log backup. Then mirror backup, then copy only backup, copy underscore only backup, then striped or split backup. Okay. Then we have a important call like a tile log backup. Tile log backup. But this backup we'll discuss about when we're going for restore and some other disaster recovery. Tile log backup, I'm not going to explain now. It's kind of like some confusion and some tricky part, but it's very important when you're going for interview. The most of the people will go for tile log. Why? Because whenever some database corrupted or maybe disaster occur, that time we need to take some tile log backups. Okay, that is very important. I will explain. Apart from that, we have a other backups like a file backup, file group backup, and piecemeal backup or something. Okay. So we have other kind of backups there, but we never used file backup, file group backup, and piecemeal backup. I'm not going to cover these three, but I will cover these three like remaining backups. What are the real time we are using the backups? Those backups we are going to cover, and I will go for the comments. Okay, so let's go for the transaction log backup. So yesterday, I gave some confused and missed data. The thing is when I mentioned the transaction log backup. So when you type the transaction log backup command, what I mentioned, it will scan the transaction log file and it will take the active portion and inactive portion of the data and it will truncate the transaction log file. So here the correction is like it will scan the transaction log file, but it will take the inactive portion of the data and to the disk or maybe file share, maybe Azure Storage Container, and it will truncate the inactive portion of the data for upcoming transaction. So it won't take the data which is having active portion of the transaction log file. So that is a statement for the transaction log backup purpose. So here, what is the transaction log backup? The transaction log backup is the one kind of special backup. Uh, it's not a kind of special. Transaction log backup is the one kind of a backup. It scan the transaction log file and it will take the inactive portion of the transaction log file and it will truncate that inactive portion of the transaction log file for upcoming transaction to coming to the SQL server. That is the transaction log backup purpose. Okay. So what is the T-SQL for that? Okay. So if you go here, let me take this one. So the transaction log backup will possible only when the database are keeping into the full recovery model or bulk log recovery model. Simple recovery model, transaction log backup won't possible. Backup log, database name, backup database log, backup database. Let me search here. I don't want to give backup log. SQL Server. Where is the T-SQL? Correct. Backup log, database name, Adi lab to disk equal to yesterday. Where are we going to keep? I'm going for this PC, going for log, right? Then I'm going for where is the backup drive? I didn't keep here. I'll keep somewhere. Backup on register. Come here, keep here. Then you have to provide the file of the backup file, like Adi lab dot trn. Okay. So here the same kind of a command. The first one is the backup, that is the keyword. Then log is the keyword. After the third word is the database name, which is the database we are going to take. Then after that, two, the means which location, like which address we are going to take. So that is the reason we have to mention two. If it is disk, you have to mention disk. If it is Azure, we have to keep URL. After that, the path of the location where we are going to take, we have to provide that particular path. After that, we have to provide name of the that log backup file name. So if you run this, execute, come here, the backup is came, right? TRN. So, oh, it's taking longer time. Why? Because the database is bigger size. No, my SQL Server is responding very slow. I will explain. Okay, what is the purpose of the DBGC SQL perf? This is the very important for a regular database. We'll use this command. Okay, this is very useful. So the backup is completed, and if you see the backup applied only for log. See here, the backup applied only for log. If you see full and differential, we can see data file and log file. It will take it. But if you go for here, it will take only a log. This is the command for log backup. Okay. So today, like yesterday and today, I showed the taking the backup using T-SQL. T-SQL. So these backups, these three backups, we can also take from the graphical user interface. Okay. So if I want to take it graphical user interface, how can I take it? Okay. So let's go for graphical user interface for these three backups: full backup and differential backup and log backup. Okay. I'm not going to explain the what is full backup and what is differential and what is T-log backup. Now I'm going to show how can we take these three backups using graphical user interface, which is providing from the SQL Server. So go to that particular database, right click, then go to task, then go to backup, then click backup, if you click backup, it will show, okay, that particular database and that particular recovery model and backup type. In that backup type, we can select full, differential, and log backup. So click here, full, differential, T-log. So other backups, it won't show from the graphical user interface. So why? Because full, differential, T-logs are the documented and main backups for the SQL Server to recovery purpose. For other backups, that is for the convenient, better performance and other purpose. But full, differential, transaction log backups are to maintain the database recovery purpose and to provide the database restoration purpose. So go for full backup. Then it will ask, do you want to back up the component? Yes, database. Like I mentioned it, do you want to file and file groups? I'm not going to go for file and file groups. I'm going for only entire database backup. Then after it will show destination to backup. So in the backup to destination, we can see disk and URL. If you select disk, that will go into the local storage. That may be file share, or maybe that may be local computer, or maybe other remote computer. But if you go for URL, the backup will go to the Azure storage container. So for that, if you select URL, that will ask for the to log into the Azure storage subscription. From there, it will ask storage account and it will ask container. So right now, I'm not going to use any URL. Simply, I'm taking the backup to disk. So after that, by default, the backup will choose for the default location. The default location means if you go for database, right click, properties, then if you go for database settings, in the database settings, we can see data folder and log folder and backup folder. These three values generally we will provide when we installing the SQL Server. After installing the SQL Server also, we can change it. But after installing the SQL Server, if we change these values, we need to restart the SQL Server. Then only it will affect. So here, when we choose the backup to destination, in the destination, it will choose default location. Okay. If you want to take the default location, or maybe you can remove that old location and you can add new location. So what I'm going to do, just I will remove it and I will go for add. When you go for add, it will ask which location you want to take that particular backup. That backup type is the full backup. Why? Because we selected the full backup. So here I'm going to the C drive and I'm going to the backup folder. I'm going to the backup restore folder. I selected here. Then after that, what is the file name I want to give? I want to give like a Adi. I have to select all files. The file name Adi full dot BAK. You have to provide the file name. The file name is the that is our wish. What are the names we want to provide? Sometimes always you will give the database name. After that, we can provide the today date and time so that we can easily understand this is the backup file belongs to this particular database and this particular time and date we took the backup. So I will go like this only. Adi 07, then 09/2025, date is 16/51.BAK. Then once you selected, then click OK. Once you click OK, it will add. But here media options and backup option, we can choose it. Media option. If you go for media options, it will ask, do you want to override the existing backup sets, or do you want to append to the existing backup set? So here the two things. So here append to the existing backup set means with no init. If you're going to overwrite it, the word keyword like a init. So after these things, I will explain what is the init and what is the with init. So the keyword with init means, let me check. With init means it will delete the existing backup file name and it will create the same file name and it will provide the backup. So here the thing is like whenever you're taking the backup, what are the backups? That will write the recording into the MSDB. Later it will start process the backup. Once the backup is completed, the record will be committed. So that means when we start backup, it will put the recording MSDB. In between, if you cancel the record, like if you cancel the backup, that means what are the backup? That backup is not successfully completed, right? So then that record will be deleted. If your backup is successfully completed, then that time the backup record information like full backup or differential backup or log backup and which user and which disk we have taken, that information it will stored in the MSDB. So if you're going for append means with no init, it will create the one record and it will take the backup. If you go for overwrite, what it will do, if you see the same backup file name in the disk and MSDB, what it will do, it will record the that particular backup information and it will overwrite the what are the backups in the particular disk. It will overwrite the data and it will keep the data into the same file. We'll go for example later, but it is important for sometimes because sometimes application wants the same backup file name, but they don't want the previous data. So at that time, we are going to schedule the one backup, full backup. In the last, we can mention within it. So whenever the job is scheduled, it will take the full backup and it will delete the existing data and it will keep the that particular backup information into the same file and it will record the information to the MSDB. And one more thing is like we can check how many days I want to keep that particular information. Okay, like I want to keep 10 days or 14 days like that. Okay, I'm not going to this option, but this option very very important like append and overwrite. So by default the option is append. That means it will take record the new record and it will create the new backup file name. Then you go for backup option. So backup option means like here the important. So once this is the backup file name, that record will be backup set and the backup file will expire. Like after 7 days, the backup file want to expire, or maybe 5 days or 2 days, it will based upon the value, the backup will be stay on the our SQL server. This will use for to cleaning up the file in that particular location. So here one more option is like a compression. I will explain this compression. It is not a kind of a backup, but it is a one value for the backup. If you want to go for the backup, like do the compression, we have to use compression. I will explain how to enable and how to disable and what are the edition this is available. So right now, sorry, you need to know backup set will expire. That is option we need to understand. And in the media option, we need to understand what is append to the existing backup set, that is called with no init. If you go for with init, that is a override. And here, if you go for general, In the general, we have to select name of the database and the backup type and location. So I'm going to click OK, but just I will take some script out so that we can understand what are the parameters we selected in the graphical user interface. So in the top, we can see script trait, right? Just that go on script and script action new query window. If you click this one, what are the action we selected, those option will come in like a T-SQL. Okay. So generally, whenever the people asking for backup, we can go for T-SQL and we can go for graphical user interface. So I always recommended to go for T-SQL. Why? Because we can know like what exactly in the background up happening. But the thing is like you can go and select the option in the graphical user interface. Just go and script out. Let me explain the script out and I will execute the graphical user interface. So here, what am I backup? That is a keyword. Database name to disk equal to path. Then with no init. With no init means it will create the, if you mention no init or not, by default, the option will be no init. Okay. So that is the one thing. If you mention no init, it will create the record and it will create the this backup file. Okay. And it will provide name of the file, like a set of the backup file. This is also not a mandatory if you want to go for T-SQL. And this is also not a mandatory, no need to go for T-SQL. So here, no rewind, no unload. Okay. This also not required. If you want to keep it, if you want to delete it. Okay. Let's keep.
Sir, uh,
Sorry.
yeah, sir. What is T-SQL? I'm not getting that.
No, T-SQL means kind of like our commands. Like what are the code you're writing, right? Transaction structure query language, right? This is the code,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So if you go for this option, in the background, it's a graphical user interface. In the background, they using the SH packages and some other code. What are the using the graphical user interface? That will generate the script, like in that particular page. So if you go for Google, if you click the one radio button, but in the radio button, in the background, the application team will write the code. That code like a T-SQL. This particular graphical user interface, what are the value you're mentioning? That will provide as the here. T-SQL means structure query language. It's
Okay.
kind of like a command.
Okay. So we are getting that like a auto generate, right?
Yes, a script is like a we are generating. Like once you select the option, then go to script. It will generate what are the it selected the graphical user interface.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
So why we are using T-SQL? I
Now
mean,
T-SQL means like both you can use it. Like I already mentioned, you can use graphical user interface and T-SQL. So if you go here, unfortunately, if you provide some other values, I cannot go and check here, right? If you go for T-SQL, in front of like the people up to like some people will go for graphical user interface, sometimes will go for T-SQL. So suppose unfortunately I want to cancel this operation. Okay. If there is no direct option to cancel, then what I need to do? I have to find out this particular page, this particular graphical user interface, which session is taking. I need to find out, and after that, I need to kill it. But if you run the using T-SQL, simply come here. Here there is a one radio button. Just cancel it. That will cancel it. But if you perform the backup using here, if there is no option to cancel, then what we have to do? We have to come to the SQL server. Then we have to check it. What are the operations, sir? We are performing in that background. that session information will record using this operation, like this command. Select start from this dot. Process. And yesterday I gave one command, right? What is that command? Select start from this dot dm underscore exec underscore request. So
Sir, yesterday you shown in the Azure, right? So this is SQL Server. So
no.
T-SQL you are using.
Yesterday I showed both. Yesterday I showed both, like on-prem and as well as Azure. So I
Oh,
showed yesterday like a difference, like how can we take the backup to Azure? Okay.
okay. Yesterday, I mean, I have seen this here like a desktop minus Azure Lab, something I have seen like this here. So that's the reason I got it out. So are we using this T-SQL in both SQL
Yes.
Server and
See here, that's the reason I said don't confuse. Like if it is Azure or on-prem, there is no difference. The final is that is a virtual machine. That is SQL Server.
okay?
Yesterday I log into the Azure, but it's kind of like a computer, right?
Right.
Because in that virtual machine we have a SQL Server, kind of like here. That is a IaaS model, infrastructure as a service. So in the Azure we have a different kind of a flavor, IaaS model and PaaS model and SaaS model. So yesterday, just I took the example for to take the backup. Okay, that is
Okay.
IaaS model. So, and I given the example for kind of a migration from on-prem to Azure. Okay, so that is the reason yesterday I took Azure storage account and container, and I took the backup to from on-prem to storage Azure, and as well as Azure VM to Azure storage. So the thing is, like if it is Azure or on-prem, the end of the thing is like we have a computer. In that computer we can install the software and we can take the all these backups. Okay, so if the here in the Azure, the keyword is like if the SQL server is installed in the particular computer or virtual machine or node, then we can call like a IaaS model SQL server, and other word we can call like a on-prem. If the SQL server is installed in the VM, simply we can call like a on-prem. If it is VM like Azure or on-prem, if it is SQL server installed in the computer, uh, some people will call like a on-prem instance. So here, if you perform the backups using graphical user interface, if you want to cancel it, we cannot cancel it. But if you using the T-SQL, simply come here and we can cancel it. So if you want to cancel it to the graphical user interface, then we have to find out what are the requests are coming to the SQL server. Then we have to find out which command it is running. Then we have to look for the command and we have to kill it. That is the one thing. Other thing is like we don't have much control what is happening in the background if you select unnecessary like radio buttons. So here I'm going to run the backup using graphical user interface for full backup. So in the database, right click, then go to task, then go to backup. Once the backup is open, we can see this graphical user interface. In the general, we have to select the database name, then we have to select the database, then we have to select the backup. That backup is for disk or URL. Then we have to go for the destination of the location and we have to provide the name of the file. Then other option is up to us. So if you want to, you can select, otherwise leave it. So just I'm going to click OK. So if you come here, let me go and delete this one. I don't require. Right now, I don't have any files here. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to come here. I'm going to click OK. It is executing and it will provide some process. What is the database name? Database bigger. See, it's coming here. But we can see the process, how much percentage it is completing. 10%, 20%, we can see the progress, how much percentage a backup is completed. But if you want to cancel here, I cannot cancel the backup. We need to wait until this process is completed. We can use what is there here? Select. Minimal backup is completed. Okay, 70% is completed. So this command you have to remember and you have to always keep in your note or mind. Why? Because this will help like whenever the people are performing the backup. That may be T-SQL, that may be graphical user interface, that may be any third part to tool. Our team or people will ask how much backup is completed. Can we know the percentage? At that time, you can go and check using this command. Like this is the one DMV. In that DMV, we have to provide the what exactly that command is running, so that we will get it. How much percentage completed? We have to select it there. So it's completed, I guess. 100% is completed. See here, the backup of the database completed successfully. Click OK. It's completed. Come here. Backup is completed. This is for the taking the graphical user interface full backup. So I'm going to take the differential backup using graphical user interface. So let me take the, if you run the command, what will happen? So we can get there like the file name already existing. Why? Because I'm using no init. Okay. Let me complete all the backups, then I can explain difference between no init and with no init. Okay. Let me go for differential backup. Then go to task. Then go to backup. Click for backup. Then select the backup type in the general. Select for differential and then select the database. Then go for a destination disk. Then remove here. Then add it. Then go search for the location. Which location you want to take the backup. Then I will go for backup restore option. Select this one. Then what is the file name you want to give? All files. You have to give Adilab 07 092025 dot BIF diff. Okay. So just I'm clicking OK. Before that, what I'm going to do? I'm going to go for script. Right? Script to new query action window. Just I'm going to execute backup. So differential backup is complete very fast. Okay. Come here, click OK. Come here. The differential backup is created. Okay. So we generate the T-SQL, right? We can explain it. So the important is like the differential backup with the differential. If you not use the keyword with differential, then it will treat like a full backup. So we have to make sure if you want to perform the differential backup, we have to use differential. That is the only difference for full backup and differential backup for T-SQL. But what exactly the behavior and performance, that is different. Why? Because full backup is the exact copy of the database, and differential backup is for only for what are the modifications happen after the full backup. So I'm going to take the transaction log backup using graphical user interface. Right click and go to task, then go to backup. Then go to select the backup type, then go for transaction log, then go to destination is disk, then remove the location and add the location and select the location. Go for here, backup restore, then come here, then give the file name, the lab date 07092025.trn. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to click OK. Then just I will generate the script. Just I'm running the log backup using graphical user interface. I'm going to click OK. Here the log backup completed successfully. Okay. Here we are getting like a backup is completed, but it's a log backup. Why? Because we selected the transaction log backup. If you click OK, that is okay, done. If you come here, if you see TRN, so full backup, differential backup, and TRN. So the traditional backups are completed using transaction SQL and as well as graphical user interface. What is the command here? Come here, come here, come here. So if you want to go for T-SQL, no need to give all this information. Why I'm giving stats means like how much percentage it's completed. Okay. If you want to give, we can give, otherwise no need to provide. But generally, if you perform the backup manually, always better to give stats. Why? Because it will provide the progress of the that particular command, how much percentage it's completed. Stats means nothing but provide the progress of the that particular session is running, how much percentage it's completed. It will provide the value here one by one, and we can calculate here 1%, suppose like 1 minute, then 100% it will take 100 minutes. Based on that, we can estimate this much of time the backup will take. It will take to complete. Okay, this is the backups. So here the one more the thing is like compression. Okay, the backup compression. If we are not going to use compression, what will happen? So what will happen means like if you are not using the compression, it will take the backup without like a zip. That means without what I meant to say, putting like compression. What is the like compression means like Telugu keyword compression. Action of compressing bigger. Compression means is kind of like a zip. All the data will come to the smaller things, right? So if you're not going to compress, what will happen? The backup size will come more. If you go for compression, what it will do? Like the backup file size will come 1/3 or 1/4 of the actual backup size. Okay. So here the backup compression will support standard edition, developer edition, enterprise edition. These editions, not for the FB edition, not for the evaluation, not for the expressed seal. So here, by default, the compression is disabled. If you want to enable the backup compression, we can enable using SP configure, or maybe you can go to instance properties, then go to database settings, then you have to choose backup compression option. If you enable backup compression, then only the backup size will reduce. This will help to store the, like in the storage location. Like I have the storage location like a 1 TB. If I'm not going to use compression, what will happen? It will come the exact size of the database based on the inside the data. If I use compression, what it will do? All the data will be compressed and the backup size will come very less. If the backup size comes very less, then what will happen? We can get more storage in the file store or local disk. So I'm going to click OK. Before that, just I'm generating the script, okay? Script for action, okay? So here, what it will do, SP configure and so backup compression, comma 1, reconfigure it, override. Okay, so the same command. So these commands you have to come, you have to by heart. If you someone asking in the sleep also, we have to tell all these commands. Okay, like a few commands, backup compression, how we need to enable, and how can you configure min and max memory, and how can you configure like a agent XPs, how can you configure database mail. Okay, so here this SP configure I mentioned, right? This information which will be stored in the master database. When I giving the explanation, the system level configuration information will be stored in the master database. So if I want to enable any advanced feature, so what I need to do? I have to come to SP underscore configure, then run it. We can get the all the enable feature and the server level, and it will provide some other features. By default, if you run the SP configure, the value will come only 24 to 27, not entire 95. If you are getting 24 to 27, what you need to do? You need to come here, SP configure, then you have to check show advanced option. That option you have to turn on like a 1. Let me go here. So advanced option. Yeah. So right now my SQL Server configurations, the configure value like a 1. So that is the reason I'm saying 95. If you seeing any 24, what you can do? Come here. Copy this one. You have to keep like single quotes. Then you have to come here. Then you have to come here. Then you have to come 1. So these values, if you go for Postgres, we can call like a config file and HBA config file. Those values we have to go on to that particular location, and we have to view, and we have to edit, and we have to save it. That for that we have to go open that configuration file in the command prompt, or maybe some other tool. We have to open manually, we have to edit, and we have to save it. But coming to the SQL Server, we don't have any configuration files. So for that, you have to come directly, run the command new query like SP underscore configure, and what are the values you have to modify, we have to provide, and we have to run it. That's we configure. So advanced option I have to go for. In your computer, you have to run this one. Once it run, you can see the all the what I meant to say 95 values. Okay, come here. It is came here. Now I want to enable backup compression. So now backup compression is by default the value is 0. Come here. This is the one thing. backup compression. See, by default 0. This is the one prerequisite after installing the SQL Server. You must enable the backup compression. So I'm going to, if you want to come here, instance properties, right click properties, then go to the database settings. If you can click backup compression and you have to click OK, or else you have to come right SP configure. So and backup compression default, comma 1 and reconfigure with override. If you run it, then again you can check the configuration file SP underscore configure. Come here. If you come here, backup compression is a 1. So now we can see the difference by taking the backup compression and without compression for the AdLaby database. So right now we took the database without compression. That came around 2.87 GB. So here I took the full backup that came like a 2.7 GB without compression. So if I take the backup without compression, what it will do? The disk will full very fast. Okay. So that is the reason we have to always go for compression. So in the real time, what will happen? Sometimes we can see the regularly the backup location or backup file share will get the it will fill like size will be more. So in this scenario, we have to check the backup compression enable or not. Like in the 6 years back in my organizations, most of the servers the backup compression is not enabled. So that scenario, like what was happening, we are going to, like we used to keep the backup files in the 45 days in the file share or storage location. So 45 days, if you're going to keep the files share is going to fill within 30 days. So we are going to delete the files. But if you're going to delete, we are going to lose the our backup retention and SLA period. So then what we did, we went through the SQL Server, we checked that option, and we noticed it that this option was not enabled. So because of that, the backup size is coming more. Once we enable that option, within 45 days also, the backup side, like location, is not filling. The backup size, like we have almost 200 TB. That 200 TB is filling within 30 days. But once we enable that option, after 45 days also, that location is not filling. Why? Because the backup is compression. So let me take the AdiLab database using compression. Backup database name Adi lab to disk equal to path here. Then you have to provide Adi lab full click full check dot bak. After the file name, if you want to give any parameters, we have to use always with keyword. With then we have to use compression. COMPRESSN compression. COM compression is spelling wrong. So just I have given compression. Then what I mentioned, I want to know the status of the backup completion. If I run this command, backup will complete. But once the backup is completed, we can come to know this much of timing. I want to know the how much percentage backup is completed. I want to see the in front of our screen. So that for that reason, I'm giving one more parameter. So if you want to give the parameters always we have to divide it with the comma keyword stats. So the stats, after that you can give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 or 30. That means like based upon the value, the value we can see. If you give 1%, 2%, 3%. If you give 5%, 10%, 50%. If you provide 10, that will provide 10, 20, 30, 40, like that. Now I am giving 2%. Every 2% completion, it will provide the status here. I'm going to run it. If you want to run it, you can select it, or maybe directly you can run it. Why? Because I have only one command I'm going to execute. I'm not selecting, just simply executing the command. If I go and execute, go for messages, see it's showing the present rate 2468. So think about our database like 100 GB. If you run the backup, if you want to know how much percentage completed, so here the percentage will show in the bottom. We can see how long it will tell. These values we have to calculate, and we can give the information. This much of time it will take complete. So here completed. Okay. If you come here, if you go to local disk, if you come here, then go for refresh. See the difference. Here I can see 2.7 GB. Here I can see only almost 7 MB. 76 MB. See here. How much? 768 MB. The backup came. Almost 1/3 the backup is compressed. So that means how much going to store the save the storage. If you're not using compression, every time when you're taking the full backup, the backup size will come around 30. If you use the compression, it will use 7. So whenever you want to run the backup manually, you have to use compression. If you are using any third-party tool, if you are using any graphical user interface, there is a one option, click compression, so that automatically it will take compression. That is the one feature, one option for the compression. So now I'm going to move for another backup that is called split backup, kind of like a striped backup. Okay, so striped and split, what is the meaning? Like split means dividing the parts. So why we need to take? What is the purpose of the split? Okay, so when we are going to use, so that's in our let me explain. Okay, our database size is like here. My AdiLab database size is around. Think about like my database size is around 1 TB. Okay, but what are the backup location I'm going to take? That is having only 800 GB. So
Sir,
that,
here database size is nothing but the local machine size, right?
sorry.
You said 1 TB, right?
Mhm.
1 TB is the local machine size, right?
No. See, not local machine. See, the thing is like the database size comes like if you right click properties, okay, then you can see the files. Okay, so
Okay.
the actual data is like here 2.9 GB, but log file 2.4 GB. So if you ask what is the database size, I can tell the database size is 5 GB, but in that actual data is 2.4 GB. So the backup size will come only 2.4 GB.
No, sir. On that day, you said like, here initially it is going to be 8 and 8, right? Adis Lab 8 and Adis Lab log will be 8, right? Initially.
No. See, the thing is like whenever creating the new database, that will take the parameters from the model database. In the model database, if you keep like 8 MB, by default it will take 8 MB. If you keep 200 MB, 200 MB will comes. So based upon the data is growing, that will grow, right? If you keep on adding the data, like if you are creating the tables, that table size is growing. That means database size will grow, right? That means our
Yes,
data
yes.
file will grow. You
Yes, sir.
come here.
Yes, sir. No, 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 sir. Here only, here only, here only.
Uh,
Uh, when
tell
it
me.
is growing, the size is growing,
Hmm.
and the max is 2 TB, right?
Yes, data file size is 2 TB.
That is my question. I mean,
So
it is going to be 2 TB, and you said 1 TB here, and it can extend to 2 TB also, right?
yes, yes, yes. See, the database size like the thing is like initially what I mentioned. The each file we can store 2 TB. See, in the real time, you have a 16 TB, 20 TB database as well. How we are going to
Oh,
keep?
okay, okay. In real time, it might extend also based upon the organization. So it is going to be the paid versions,
No, no, no. Paid version.
right?
No, no, no. See, enterprise standard developer, we can keep the data. The thing is like
Okay.
each file, okay, data file here up to I can keep 2 TB. Okay. But if you
Okay.
want to keep the why, because what is the purpose of secondary data file? The secondary data file is also kind of a data file that will store the user data. If I go and click add, so that is a raw data, that is a primary, initially 8 MB. This file will go to up to 2 TB, not more than that. Okay.
Uh,
If that is
uh,
filled, you can go and add one more data file that will store up to 2 TB, like that. So whenever we're creating the database, we have a two files. One is MDF, one is LDF. MDF means like a primary data file. Okay. So what is the NDF? If I go click here, click open, right click, come here, come here, come here, files. The extension is like a NDF. The NDF means a secondary data file. So each file we can keep up to 2 TB. Here 2 TB I can store it. Here I can store 2 TB file data.
yes.
You got it?
Got it, sir. Initially, I mean, if the size extend to 8 GB, now the 8 GB will extend to 64. After 64 GB filled,
Yeah,
and it
MB.
extend to
Ah, yes.
128.
No, no. See,
128
no, no,
MB.
no, no. Yeah, yes. So here 18 to 64 will come 72 MB. After that 72
Huh.
MB fill, it will go for 72 plus 64 MB. That means 136. After 136
Okay.
fill, we have to extend 64 MB. Then 136 plus 64, 210. Like that it
210.
will increase. Okay.
Right. Yes, yes. Got it.
Yeah. So uh, we are discussing about the compression, right? So we are discussing about the split files. So here my database size is like 1 TB. Okay. The back if you take the 1 TB database, the backup size is coming. No. Our database size is 1 TB. Our storage area, our file share, our remote location, data warehouse. What are the files we're going to keep? That is having only 800 GB free space. That means 1 TB database we cannot keep into the that particular location, right? If you want to keep, I need another 200 GB, right? Otherwise, the backup will be fail. Suppose like you think about it, this is my PC. Right now, I have how much free space? 173 GB free space. My database size is 500 GB. 500 GB database, can I keep here in the C drive? No, right? Why? Because the backup size will come around 400 GB. That won't fit. So that scenario, what I can do, half of the file I can keep here, and I can keep some other file in the another disk. Okay, that means like the backup I can split it, but while splitting, how much equally part going to take we cannot mention. Suppose like the 1 TB database, I want to split into two files, and each file, one file I want to keep 800 GB, and one file I'm going to keep 200 GB. That is not possible from our end. So if you provide two files, let me say backup database, Adi lab disk equal to here అది 1 TB dot BAK. Okay. So my database like a Adi lab that will come 1 TB. So 1 TB database backup file can I keep here? No, right? Why? Because here I have 170 GB free space. So in this scenario, how I'm going to accommodate and I'm going to take that database backup. So that time, what I'm going to do, I'm going to split this backup into multiple parts. That multiple parts we have to provide different locations with different drives. Okay. Why? Because the single drive I don't have that much of storage. I can split the backup to the different drives. Here two things I will explain. Okay. Splitting into the different drives or maybe splitting into the same drive as well. So initially the split backup, why they introduce means like the backup storage location, we don't have that much of storage to keep the database. That time we can split the database backup to multiple split into the different storage locations. That is the initial purpose to introduce the split backup. So I'm going to split into this database into different storage locations. So here I'm going to think like this is a one drive. Backup. File share. Backup. Code is equal to then PT1 single quotes. Then after comma, you have to provide another backup database. I have to provide the lab. After that, you have to provide another location where you want to store it. Come here. I'm going to provide another storage location. Think about like come here. You can create. Backup. File. Share. One. Keep here. I'm going to keep it here. Okay. So here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep the 1 TB database into different location. One is C drive, another one is E drive. So here I have to provide different file name. Like one is TB1, another one is TB2. Other we have to provide another name also. Okay. So by looking at for our naming convention, I'm giving like a either TB1 or 2. Here there is no mandatory to provide 2. You can provide another one also. It will take. It should not give the same file. We have to provide another name. So just I'm giving like a TB2. Here what is happening? The backup will going into the different storage locations. While going to the storage locations, we cannot define this file must be this percentage. Like I cannot specify. Like first file, I need 70%. Second file, I need 30%. We cannot define from our end. While taking the backup from the SQL server, while splitting, mostly SQL server, it will decide and it will take half of the parts. Okay. Here right now, I'm going to run the backup without compression. Here, what assumption? Initially, if I go for single file, the backup will come around 2.7 GB. If I am going for two files, it will come around of each file like a 1.4 GB, 1.4 GB. Click here, going for backup. Once it completed, it will be split. Okay. Right now it's like a how much you say? Completely reload. Backup is completed. Now go to the refresh. This is the second file, split file. Right click, properties. Oh, it is taking compression. Here, if you come here, backup is here. It's like equally it has taken at 385 MB, 385 MB, it has taken. So here, what is that means? While I want to split the backup into different file share, we can use split backup, and here we don't have option to split it. That is the one thing. If I run the one file, what is that means? In the background, one process, it will read the data from the database and it will write to the file share. That means one person in the background, one person means one thread will work. That means the backup will take longer time, right? So I have the 100 kg kind of a some baggage is there. If I give to one person to carry, that person, if you give to one person, how long it will take from, like I want to travel from 100 kilometers from 100 kg. I give it to one person. That will person, only one person is carrying, that will take around 2 hours. Suppose if I give the same split it into the 100 kgs to two people to carry from the same distance. That time, what is happening? Two persons are carrying, right? So that means they can complete below 2 hours, not 2 hours. That means in the background, two persons are running. So that is the reason. If I want to complete the backup speed, that time we can use a split backup. So here, not only dividing the backup into multiple files into the different location, if we want to keep the same location with the different, like I want to keep the same location with the multiple files, so that in the background, the process will run more based upon the splits. The backup will complete very fast. So here what I'm going to do, previously I split it into the different location. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to splitting into the same location. I'm going to run these things. So this is the advantage of the split backup. There is a one more apart from advantage, we have a disadvantage also there. Why? Because if you run the multiple threads running parallelly, what will happen? we can see the CPU and memory disk IOs will be more. So that thing we need to consider. If you giving the more split files, that time we can see the more disk IOs will be more. Why? Because it has to interact to the disk and multiple threads. It is going to operate on the disk tier. That means it has to read in the disk. That means our read operations will increase, and the same time it was going to keep into the serial location. That time write operations will increase. That means whenever the IOs are increased, that definitely CPU will increase. If CPU is increased, sometimes memory also will increase. So that is a one disadvantage. The thing is like the interview, they will ask, my database size is 1 TB. How can you perform the backup? So we can tell the interview, if it is 1 TB, generally we can go for the split backup based upon the storage. If you going for the 1 TB database with split, we can complete 1 hour. If you want to go for the single backup file, the 1 TB going to take 2 hours. So that means the backup is going to take 2 hours. The same thing, if I want to restore the 1 TB with a single file, the restoration it will take 1 hour. But if I want to restore the split files, that will take like a 1 hour. Why? Because the one more thing is like, if you want to restore this particular database, and if you run the split backup, that time you have to provide all the files. Then only the database will restore. So this is the advantage and disadvantage of the split backup. So the definition is the split backup is the kind of the backup in SQL Server. It will split the backup into the different file storage, or maybe same file storage to splitting into the different files. This will help to speed up the backup process, and we can keep the backup into the different locations. So when they ask disadvantage, you have to explain the interview. So this is the kind of a split backup. So then what is the mirror backup? So mirror backup means like a generally in the organizations, no one using the mirror backup. Why? Because mirror backup is nothing but a taking the one more backup in the same location or maybe different storage with another copy. Suppose like I'm taking the backup to C drive. Okay. Suppose C drive is corrupted. Maybe C drive, what are the files here? We are going to keep that C drive. Okay. That drive itself corrupted. So that means we cannot able to access the backup, right? So that is the reason we are going to keep the one more copy to the different location. That is the reason we are using mirror backup. So yesterday, like I showed you, right, in the Azure storage account, we have a LRS, ZRS, ZZRS. So LRS means the backup is going to keep only one copy in that particular region. If you are going to use GRS, that means it is going to keep the one more copy in the different region. So that's kind of like a mirror copy. Mirror copy means like from our end, we are taking the one backup. Once the backup is completed, automatically the backup will copy to the different locations. So that's kind of like a mirror backup. But actually in our location, we are taking the single backup, but the backup storage, file storage, that will take in the Microsoft. So in the real time, we are not using any mirror backup, but instead of that, what they will do, the file share location, they will take the backup. Not yet. So the C drive, they will take the backup and they will keep it into the different region. So how I'm going to perform the mirror backup? Let me ask Google itself. Mm. Right. Network stress. Okay. So name of the database name I provide Adi Lab. So here they mention like mirror 1, mirror 2, mirror 3. How to provide any name. This is the virtual file name. Then I have to provide mirror to disk. That may be same location or maybe different location. Let's see. So here I'm taking the 3 copies using mirror. Okay. So all 3 files will come the same size. That means we are taking the 3 copies. I'm hoping it will take a longer time. Almost here we are taking 3 copies, right? So previously took 18 minutes, means here this time it will take 52 seconds. We'll see. Yeah. So almost 49. Previously it took 18 seconds. Now it took 49 seconds. Why? Because we have taken 3 copies. Okay. That is the one file. Another file. Oh, 1 minute. See backup store. Then see backup store. File share.bak. Where it is? Why it is appended here? See backup store. Backup file share. Then backup store. Extra backup files. What I'm going for E. Backup file share. This is okay. What about C drive? See backup store. And I have to go for yes. 3 files came, right? So it's taken 3 mirror files. This is the mirror backup. Here, no one is using the mirror backups in the real time. Here, let me stop the recording and I will start again. One more recording, okay? How many people are there? 6, right? Can we take 5 minutes break?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Then I need to complete one more important backup, like a copy only backup, okay?
Yeah, sure.
So right now time is like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. We'll meet
6.
6 to 8, okay?